The scriptures had predicted the resurgence of Vedic knowledge all over the world. Saints had foreseen the appearance of a person who would fulfill this prophecy. The darkness of ignorance would not last for long, for the sun was destined to rise.
The seas have played an important role in the history of India. They have been India's contact with foreign lands. It was by sea that ancient traders came, attracted by India's richness and beauty. And it was by sea that the British had arrived and conquered the country. It was in this enslaved India that I was born on September 1, 1896 in Calcutta, the capital of the country. Europeans and Indians lived separately, although in business and education they intermingled. While remaining loyal to the British Crown, Indians followed their traditional religion and culture. Our house at 151 Harrison Road was situated in North Calcutta. My father, Gaur Mohan De, was a cloth merchant by profession. He was very pious, a devotee of Lord Krishna. He named me Abhay Charan. Mother was 30 when I was born. She was chaste and pious, dedicated to caring for her husband and children. I saw my parents live together peacefully. No marital conflict or dissatisfaction ever threatened home. The earliest memories I have are of the Radha Govinda temple, which was situated just across the street. It was a place almost daily visited by our family and relatives. I remember standing at the doorway of the temple, praying and hearing the melodious devotional songs. I would watch for hours together. I was very fascinated by the famous festival of chariots of Jagannath Puri, which attracted thousands of people from all over India. Father bought me a small 4-feet high cart, which I decorated and started celebrating my very own festival with my friends. Like the celebrations in Puri, my festival too ran for 8 consecutive days. Family members and neighbors also joined in the procession. Although everything I did was imitation, My devotion was genuine, and each successive year brought a new festival which I observed with the same enthusiasm. For me, my world was my small house, my loving parents, and my festivals. I needed nothing more. But the world outside was a different one. It was a world of suffering and death. When I was 13, Hindu-Muslim riots broke out in Calcutta. The harsh reality of life continued to confront me. Mother suddenly died. Her death was an abrupt lowering of the curtain, ending my tender childhood. I was deeply affected. Father gave me solace. The soul is eternal and everything happens by the will of God. Have faith and just depend upon Him. I understood. But life for me had changed. I was now forced to grow up. Childhood had ended. Life in college was demanding. No longer was I free to spend hours at the Radha Govinda temple. That had been a childhood luxury. Now I spend my days within the compound of the Scottish Churches College, studying Western logic, chemistry, or psychology. The atmosphere in college was academic, but the events taking place in the country had their influence. India was passing through a critical period. The movement for independence was gathering momentum. College was strict in forbidding anti-government propaganda, but students were sympathetic to the cause of home rule. Although there were no signs of open rebellion, we sometimes held nationalistic meetings in secret. I heard names well known in India: Surendranath Banerjee, Lala Lajpat Rai, and of course, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. I was attracted by him. Gandhi always carried a Bhagavad Gita and spoke of being guided by its philosophy. His personal habits were pure. Gandhi abstained from all intoxication, meat eating, and illicit sex. He led a life of simplicity. I read his speeches and followed his activities. Maybe he could carry spirituality into the field of action. Gandhi called for complete non-cooperation, boycott of everything British, commodities, courts, military honors, schools and colleges. I responded to his call by rejecting my college degree. I put aside my mill-manufactured clothes and took to wearing hand-spun khadi. This was not a clothing fad. It was a political statement. It meant I was Gandhian.
Oh boy, you must meet this saint from Mayapur. He is...
Oh no, Noren. I know all these saints and gurus. They are just beggars fooling people to collect donations. No, I am not going.
You must come. This particular guru seems to be a very learned scholar. You know, he's Bhakti Siddhantha Saraswathi, the founder of Gaudiya Math. Remember?
Oh, no, Naren. Please don't behave this way. Nah, re Baba. I am not going.
Just for a while, oh boy. We won't be long. Just to have a look.
On the roof of the Gaudiya Math Center, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati sat with a few disciples and guests. Upon seeing me and my friend, he immediately said, "You are young men. Why don't you spread the message of Bhagavad Gita throughout the whole world?" I was a little surprised. I protested. Who will listen to your message? First, India must get freedom. How can we spread Indian culture if we are under British rule? He replied, God consciousness doesn't need a change in Indian politics. It is so important that it cannot wait. No man-made political system can actually help humanity. Only by turning towards God, following His instructions, can we achieve peace. This is the verdict of the scriptures. From that day on, my life changed. I was deeply impressed by that first meeting with Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Being from a pious family, I could appreciate what he was preaching. Of course, he was preaching to everyone, but he found something in me, and I was convinced by his argument and the mode of presentation. For the first time in my life, I felt defeated. But I knew this was not a defeat. It was an immense gain. I felt that I had met a very nice, saintly person, and I accepted him as my spiritual master in my heart. But I was now a married man, and due to family obligations, I could not take up preaching immediately. Having shifted to Allahabad, I started a pharmaceutical business and traveled frequently throughout northern India. But soon I was in for a setback. Father passed away. I felt his loss immensely. He was my dearmost protector and friend. After mother's death, my dependence on him had increased, and he had fulfilled his responsibility perfectly, never giving me a chance to complain. For me, he was the embodiment of love and affection, an ideal father who had been careful to raise me as a God-conscious person. He had always desired the best for me, and I knew I could rely upon him. That well-wisher was now gone. The Bhagavad Gita, for which I had held fascination since childhood, assumed greater relevance in my life. Considered to be the essence of Vedic knowledge, the Gita, with remarkable clarity, reveals to us the nature of the absolute truth. The truth, which is the cause of all causes, the supreme personality of Godhead. I was deeply impressed by the path of unconditional, selfless, pure devotion to God propagated by the Gita. Even though there exist different paths of attaining the truth, all processes culminate in devotion and depend on it for success. Other processes purify a person from material contamination, elevate him to the spiritual platform, but only devotion can reveal the truth in totality. My life was changing, but along with this emerged problems in my family. I had hoped that my wife and children would join me in my quest for the truth. I tried encouraging them, but somehow they did not share my enthusiasm.